All right, I'm gonna give you guys a long overdue update video of sorts on the Total Gym, and hopefully this will clear up a lot of questions I get asked almost on a daily basis regarding a number of things you're gonna see here. Primarily, I will focus on an update on the Total Gym Evolve model. I get this question a lot, how it compares to other Total Gyms, also how it compares to the new Great Flex adjustable glideboard, which I've covered on another past video. I'll get into my thoughts on general training with these things, overall accessories, do I still use them, how I still use them, and at the end of the day, sum up how I find these sliding bench trainers hold up in the home or garage gym space. A lot of stuff to get through, a lot of stuff to feature. I will link everything down in the description box, help support me in the channel, promo codes, accessories, all sorts of stuff. I will also link down below some helpful videos and related topics, of which it is very hard to do because I've made a lot of sliding bench Total Gym videos, many of which I forget I even made, and I almost repeat the same topic twice. So I'll put those down below in the description box. As always, though, guys, if you got any questions, comments, feedback, please let me know. Like, share, subscribe. That is the best thing you do to help support me and content like this going further in the future. All right, first, some updated thoughts on the Total Gym Evolve here. And you guys asked why you haven't seen it in some recent videos, and that is because my neighbor Mac, I gave him the anniversary edition. I had to swap that out so I could use the new Great Flex adjustable glide board. I'll talk about that comparison to these two models here in a second, but this is back and likely going to stay here, and I'll get into that for a few reasons here. Now, I said in my very first Total Gym Evolve kind of full review, I think I did some teasers before that too, that I was subtly kind of let down with this machine. It is still great, and I'll talk about the pros here in a second, but the main thing I didn't like about the initial review of the Evolve is I didn't think it really packed enough of a evolution to the next phase of Total Gyms that people really kind of looking forward to this. I think still stand by this thing should have been called the Total Gym Legacy Edition because it took all the great things of various Total Gym models and combined it into one package. The other thing I commented on in that video at the price initially was pretty high. A lot of you guys said the same thing. But as of right now, and I just looked at this the other day, the price has gone down a decent amount, and shameless plug, on top of this discount code that they still have given me, help support me as well, the price has gone down even further than that. So all things considered, this might be a little more expensive than you guys are willing to pay for something like this. This is one particular model they do not put on QVC or the infomercials, and maybe for due reason because they want to sell a bit more of these. Still worth that price tag, totally up to you. And I've said many times, you guys, any Total Gym is a good Total Gym. If you buy a used one, old one, the smaller ones, what you get with this is just more functionality. It is beefier, it is bigger. Also the glide board just being a little bit wider. Price out of the way, the main thing with this, and I said when I first got it, could you make do with just the standard incline setting that you're used to on other Total Gyms? Yes, you could totally, but the more you start messing with different positions, and I mentioned before, there's a lot of great new novel positions that I think are really good for people taking pressure off their back, laying down, doing various bicep curls, shoulder presses, frontal raises, all sorts of things that I think once you kind of use the horizontal glide board, it's kind of hard to go back to not having it, but there are still a decent number of exercises and positions that I prefer in the traditional kind of setup. Something else that I don't know if it was as apparent to me initially, but when I got back my Total Gym Fit, I was surprised just how smaller of a frame that really felt, and also how much more aggressive that ride really felt. My neighbor Mac, when I swapped this out and he was borrowing it, that was the first thing he kind of said. And even when I took this thing back, you can see he didn't really want to let go of it. He noticed that just the kind of the smoothness and just the way it kind of felt a little more substantial and kind of higher grade. Repeating myself a little bit from the last one, but there are some things that I'll just highlight here that are different and unique, and some are pros and some are cons compared to the Fit model, which would be, and other than this, probably my other favorite Total Gym model that is out to date, is they have these little buffers. So that's very helpful when you're doing things like jump squats, pushing off, the rails don't get kind of locked in up here. You have more settings and more adjustability up here. Pulleys, like I said, are much more substantial compared to the other one, or it's definitely something you will notice. Have a lot of different increments up here. I do like this middle clip, so I got this NOSC suspension trainer. I'll link this. I do think this is the best suspension trainer for the money on the market. I had a whole review in this. I'll link this down below. But they also have their own general pulley, but something right here is nice. Now notice, and I'll flash to this later, you'll see it. I have it set up, my Anchor Pro. I actually try to put it on here. This being wider, this does limit you a little bit to some things, and it's probably not built for it, but there are many times where I will anchor things like bands and I kind of pull off of it from here doing various rows. So I know it's probably not designed for it, but for me, as always, do this at your own risk. I like having this a little more substantial because I end up kind of really pulling and doing a lot of things to this tower. You also have this little handle, which is really nice to kind of pull and set up the units. That's always a concern. putting the unit down or out, watching your fingers getting smashed. So that is another minor quality of life feature. They also have wheels down below, so that's also a good thing I kind of appreciate. One downside, and this is something I missed, and when I got back my Total Gym Fit, I had a lot of nostalgia for that unit for some reasons. Because of it is a little more, when you use this, it doesn't seem as rugged, but that one definitely feels a little more rugged compared to this. I'll get to accessories later, but I like this little crevice here. Either I grab my hands up there for pulls, or I would throw some sort of attachment like these angle 90s up here to do things like pull-ups. And then since I'm up here just kind of looking at it, this is always something that comes up, and I do think this is somewhat true, is that whatever kind of quality or coating that they put on the Total Gym, there is something with this that I feel like seems like it's a higher quality to other sliding benches that are out there like I've tried. Again, don't know the margins, don't know the build quality, but as far as Total Gym quality in general and lasting a long time, that's one thing that I will say. Whatever they're doing in the metal work and everything else like that does seem to be pretty substantial. All right, now I'm gonna talk about the differences between comparing really a Total Gym Evolve and in some ways to a Great Flex with the new adjustable glide board, or you can say an Evolve model compared to getting, say, a Great Flex or even a Total Gym Fit, which is what this is on. It's the Total Gym Fit unit with a Great Flex new adjustable glide board they have that goes up to various increments here, and I will talk about that. Other features this thing has kind of baked into it. Now, Great Flex, I think, has not confirmed or denied that this is really built for a Total Gym. And as you can see, it is working, and I tried it, again, at your own risk here, on my Total Gym Fit, and I believe it would probably, I haven't confirmed it, but because the rails are the same on previous glide boards, I believe this would fit on a Total Gym Fit model and an XLS. It would not fit in any of the Apex models, and this does not fit on the Total Gym Evolve model. This is a little bit more of a wider base. And before I start making this comparison, because one of the big things is going to be, aside from just what you can do in the various glide boards and adjustability, the Great Flex adjustable glide board, as I'm seeing it right now, and I believe shipping costs are also added on, you have to account for that too, is going for $699. Now they did give me some sort of discount code, which I asked them, I haven't heard back from if that even is legit. I haven't really seen any kind of payout from them, just to be totally honest with you guys, so I'm not trying to push things one way or the other, but I don't know if that's even still valid. I think it looks like it's just kind of baked into the price right now, so if you do want to upgrade with that, there is a discount on their website for that. So with that price, that's already pretty high up there. You're already looking at, I forget what this was now, but almost close to half of the machine cost of a Total Gym Evolve. Granted, this does do some other things, and I will talk about it, but that is going to be a factor for sure, is just that cost you're going to factor into it. And then if you consider the total cost of a Great Flex with the adjustable glide board system, I believe you are over the total cost of a Total Gym Evolve. But again, you got to account for other accessories and things that are coming with the Great Flex model here. First off, the two big distinctions, and I would say the biggest selling point right off the bat with these adjustable glide boards is the fact that they do adjust. The downside, pros and cons, well, I'll just say this is, I guess, the default con here. The Total Gym Evolve only goes up to, so you have flat, 1 notch, 2 notches, 3 notches, and then 4 notches. And if you raise this thing all the way up to the top, it won't be totally horizontal. You'll be a little off a little bit. There's also only 1 slot here for the weight bar attachment. Conversely, on the Great Flex, I got to look again here. It looks like you have 1, 2, 3 different positions for the weight bar attachment. So that is great for just increasing versatility. And then also here, you have 7 spots or 7 places of incline when you even include the bottom position. So you can see you can get to a nice kind of higher position here to take advantage of possibly some other novel positions on the Great Flex. Other huge thing with the Great Flex is all the accessories that come with it, but first and foremost, I will talk about their adjustable bend situation. They also have this adapter that does come with the adjustable glide board that they don't confirm or deny, I believe, does hook onto a Total Gym Fit. That is a Total Gym Fit right here again. So you just kind of can pick it up and it fits in that little groove right there. And then there are slots and notches back there that also kind of opens up some of the versatility if you want to attach other ways, just rigging bands, or I think I've tried the Beyond Power Ultra on here. I've rigged my Anchor Pro on the Total Gym Evolve. I didn't try it on here, but I'm sure I could try it on here and rig it that way too. And as great as that is though, guys, and having more time to kind of think about it, and I've gone through ups and downs of service in the channel about really using these types of bands in general. I think I've given this initial feedback to them from the get-go that I probably wouldn't use these types of carabiners. You could argue these are better and make more sense because they have a coating on them. They're just likely to get kind of abrasive. But what I tend to do, I just find it's the easiest thing to do just in general. And I like stuff that's kind of easy is, and again, not necessarily made for it, so do this at your own risk. I made many videos showcasing how I attach bands to a Total Gym or sliding bench trainer. 9 times out of 10, I grab a 41 incher. This is a blue, this would be pretty much the size I would go with, maybe a little lighter. This is a blue Series Steel purple clench band from Clench Fitness is also one I would use. I would just anchor it down here. That's typically what I would do. Underneath the machine is what I would do like that. That seems to me be enough resistance, and it's easy for me to take on and off when I want to with these little hooks. And I made other videos again. There's all sorts of ways you can kind of rig bands of various dimensions. So I just prefer to use loop bands. I already have them, and I don't have to worry about these. So if these break, you got to buy, you know, replacement ones and whatever, but I'm sure they wouldn't break for a while. And then when it gets to the other accessories that came with the Grade Flex, and if you watched that previous video on the Total Gym Upgrade Grade Flex where I first showcased this whole setup, that I really wasn't feeling some of them. They did feel kind of cool, and I can see there's, you know, good, clever design in here. I just think they need to flesh it out a lot more, and this is a common issue with just a lot of home fitness equipment. I just felt some of the parts felt kind of cheap. I bent them, and just for how they felt and the time it took to set them up, long story short, I actually got rid of them and actually tossed them because some were just straight up broken. I knew I was never going to use them, and there's other things at my disposal that are much better than something like that. But I definitely give them a for effort, at the very least, for trying about that. There were some really cool things like these anchor point bars that I still held on to for a good reason. Again, they feel kind of cheap and flimsy, but they work great, and they attach into the top of the Total Gym, this Grade Flex adjustable glide board, and keep you kind of locked in the machine for legs. As great as these things are though, I still feel like it doesn't overcome the shortcomings of legs. I did think it was really cool. I have to keep standing by with what I'm saying, that if you really want to get adequate, great leg development, unless you're just, for one reason or another, want to stick to just using a sliding bench trainer, that's great. But I would say for me personally, I recommend just getting off the machine, doing other basic traditional free weight exercise, even body weight stuff to work your legs. I think it's overall more beneficial too to just get off the machine and not be, you know, doing all your exercises kind of lying on your back, unless you don't have to for some sort of disability or what have you. And then just comparing the actual glide board material and integrity of each one, I would say if you get up close to it, the Total Gym Evolve, again, feels like it's a higher quality, better stitching, just a kind of a thicker, denser, also wider glide board. With that said, the Grade Flex is a much heavier glide board, and that's for better or for worse, but I think it has to be with all the different metal and just the weight that it has to it. The stitching definitely feels like a cheaper type of vinyl and stitching. I said before, you almost like slip and slide off this thing if you have a little bit of sweat on you, so some sort of grip mat's almost essential with this. Minus their camo one, which has a different type of kind of a harder fabric. So that one would be less abrasive, or sorry, less kind of slippery than compared to this stock one, the black one. So thoughts on this would be, if you have something like a Total Gym Fit or a Total Gym XLS and you want to take that gamble, so to speak, on trying this out as a new adjustable glide board, and you don't mind the price tag, that makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, there might be definitely an argument for, if you don't care for all the bells and whistles, you're not going to use all the various incline heights, and you want something that seems a little more quality, fits the whole Total Gym kind of aesthetics, maybe makes sense to sell your Total Gym Fit or XLS and upgrade to, say, a Total Gym Evolve. With the glide boards out of the way, I will talk about maybe some pros and cons to other Total Gym models, how they fare all together with also the Grade Flex unit that is out there. Also, I know there are some things that are on Amazon that are very cheap sliding bench trainers. I've been seeing those for the last 3 or 4 years. I heard they're not so good, so that's why you haven't seen me cover them. The incline just not that good, and the distance isn't that good to practically use these things. Total Gym Fit model, I think, is an awesome model. I think you can't really go wrong with that. These are also, I think, heavily discounted right now. Again, shameless plug, discount code also works for that, and also the XLS. XLS is a big fan favorite. I did ask them a while back. They were supposed to eventually stop making those, and I forget the reason why, but the point of it is they've changed their mind on it. They are still making the XLS models, but I would doubt they're going to be making them for much longer. So if you were really into the XLS, you like that for whatever reason, consider picking those up now, because I doubt they would be along much longer. Those are cool. They just have less increments. They have a wider base. They used to have 2 spots for the weight bar attachment, but unfortunately, I think there was an issue with the top weight bar attachment. So unless they've updated it recently, the top portion had like this little plug in the weight bar attachment holes, so people wouldn't stop using the 2 spots, but I digress a little bit. What I like about the Total Gym Fit model specifically is that it is kind of like a lighter, more utilitarian build. It is more simplistic than the Total Gym Evolve. I like these little horns up here. This is where I used to always just kind of chuck and throw my little handles here. I'll get to accessories a little bit later. I do sometimes like this thinner tower, and I think I did bend my other one slightly. It still worked, but I put a lot of stress in this tower, and I can tell you this thing can handle a lot that you throw at it. What I do like about this, you can see here, I put the Anchor Pro on here. You guys have been seeing this in past videos. My issue with that was the diameter for the travel mount wasn't that big. Doesn't work on my Evolve on their mount. I think I might have addressed that. It works down below, but I like it here that it actually does fit perfectly on in this portion of the tower. You could also put it on the rear portion if you wanted to maximize this. You could argue this isn't necessary since you got these little pulleys here and you're already using your weight, but thought it was cool nonetheless. You can kind of anchor that and use that kind of thin tower. So this is the Total Gym Fit Anniversary Edition, and I do have the glide board that goes with it. My neighbor Mac is happy to take any one that I would give him. So if you're asking me which one of these Total Gyms am I gonna keep and use long term, and that includes even if I was gonna adopt and use the Great Flex adjustable glide board. I have to say I like the Total Gym Evolve all around practicality at the end of the day, mostly because the glide board is more substantial, of course goes horizontal. Even though this has more increments in settings, I'm just not using them that much to really, what really counts is that I like the glide board, how strong it is. One thing I failed to mention that Total Gym on their Evolve actually shows and boasted that you actually could do things like dumbbell presses off that glide board so it actually can hold that at a horizontal position. There's a weight limit, I believe it's like over 450-ish pounds with total weight. So with dumbbells, which I think we find with most people. Great Flex, I did ask that question. I don't think they wanted to confirm or deny how much weight you had to put on that. So be that as it may, I just feel like the Total Gym Evolve just overall just more substantial, and how I use it, I'll get to accessories here in a second, just makes the most sense for me, and just overall quality and build, and also not slipping around on the glide board itself. So that would be my personal preference. I'm gonna give this back to my neighbor Mac. Even though I said I don't do a whole lot of leg stuff, I definitely do take advantage of this larger squat stand that comes standard on most models. And I forgot to mention the dimensions for the attachments on the Evolve, the Total Gym Fit XLS, all the lower grade Apex models. The bottom hole attachment is gonna be the same universal. So this larger squat stand will fit on all of those. And I put these things through the ringer. I have all sorts of heavy weighted stuff. And surprisingly, the metal here does hold up. I will use a weight bar attachment. This is the one that comes with the Great Flex adjustable glide board. I like that it has this little loop here to attach some things and do some other, again, creative uses of a bar, but you could probably rig and find something else somewhat like this. But a weight bar attachment, this is just a 1-inch diameter weight bar, is, I would say, definitely something you'd want to take advantage of for either putting on standard weight plates, another band sight, even just to post your legs up on. I use that a lot, just anchor my feet in positions. Resistance bands are huge. I reference the Great Flex ones. For me, I got to keep always saying this, at your own risk. Total Gym never encourages, or I don't think denies, using resistance bands, but a good resistance band set, I prefer. I did a whole different video on this, and I think I'm contradicting what I said, but default, because these are standard, I say 41-inch loop style bands are probably the default band I like to use. I know there was a better way, but it goes to show I wasn't keeping up on using that better way. Also because maybe I wasn't using this as much as I was initially in that video. So 41-inch bands would be another thing I definitely would pick up. As far as like stock Total Gym accessories, I've broken them, I've bent them, and ultimately I just don't use a whole lot of them. I think the other essential will be some sort of wing dip attachment or pull-up bar attachment. For the sake of time and just putting things in and out, and just for practicality's sake, I end up just using up here to kind of do pull-ups, or I'll throw some sort of loop style, like loop attachment handle, like these Angles 90s on top of here. I've been using these for many years, going back I think to like 2021 when these first came out. I was using these. These have gone down a lot in price, so I'll link these down below as well. These used to be pretty expensive. Now I think they're pretty inexpensive from the original company too. People ask me this, like, do I like the Total Gym handle or the Huck handle? I used to say like the Total Gym handle the way it was designed, but I also found myself kind of bending it based on that design. So Randy Huck, got no affiliation with him, great Total Gym replacement parts, awesome guy. I have interviews with him on the channel. He makes these special handles, just a great handle all around. I actually use it on my functional trainer too. You can pick these up. One of my favorite handles in general for gym equipment. So check that out. If you do go there, tell him Mike sent you, because so Randy knows that I'm just talking about him at the very least. So great handle to go with that. Last but not least, and this would be no question, hands down, the go-to accessory I would buy immediately if I was picking up a Total Gym or sliding bench trainer. It's the one I recommend most often, not just on these, but really any cable functional trainer machine. And it kind of somewhat in a set, but would be some sort of high quality swivel. You can buy cheap swivels at the hardware store. I like these ones because one, they got a little color to them, which I like that. They're not cheap, I think they're like $20 each, and I'll link these down below. A few different companies make them. This is the original one set I picked up a while back. And what I like about these is they are a swivel. They make everything just come together a little more smooth. When you're in the cable, you're not gonna ratchet and kind of torque the cable itself. These are also very heavily rated. I also think practically they function a lot better, especially if you do, I like this setup. I have one large carabiner and then one small carabiner. The small carabiner goes to the cable, and then a larger carabiner will then go on to, say, the handle. I also like that it naturally gives a little bit more extension, which can become very handy so that you're not topping off the glide board to the tower. So I think this actually functionally works out really well with extension to the cable. Now there are these, I'm drawing a blank now. I actually had to pause recording to think about it. I still did not pop in my head. These other types of swivels, people have been telling me to check these out because they're a little bit more affordable. And I think you're seeing more people in the home gym community talk about just swivels in general. I think these are cool. I bought these because there's a bunch of them on sale on Amazon. I just wanted more to attach to different things versus these are $20 a pop. I would say these are better. I just don't know if I trust them because there's this little kind of like pop pin. Probably would not happen, that it would come undone. But if I'm doing something like this that you guys have seen where I'm supporting a lot of my body weight, just using the handles itself, I trust these enough, but I want to make sure that I'm not nervous that this little pop pin or something's going to come undone and I'm going to go kind of flying out that way. So these are cool if you want to save a budget. If you want to save some money, I will link these down below as well. As much love and passion and also happiness that I have for the Total Gym, that it is growing in popularity and starting to finally get some acceptance in the home gym or even your garage gym, the question I get asked still very often is, how often am I still using this? Do I still like them? And that kind of leads me to a comment I had the other day when I did a review for these GetRx Tornado arms. Someone saw me working out with them and I said that, that I kind of got Total Gym vibes and the same kind of feeling I had with my Total Gym because they were saying it looked like all your Total Gym training kind of paid off on this machine because you kind of move very fluid between various exercises. You can get kind of creative in the things you want to do with this kind of a fully functional system. And what I said to that person is very relevant to still my use of the Total Gym today and how I feel about it. And also progressively with more equipment coming in, is that before even 2020, before I was really using the Total Gym as my sole form of resistance training, this was really the mode and style that I would take advantage of when I would go to a commercial gym, minus if I would go through like a purely kind of strength training cycle or block, then that would be different. So where a Total Gym, Great Flex, or just sliding bench trainer in general really, I think, shines, I've said this many, many times, firmly now, more believe than more than ever, is that if you have a small footprint and or you're just looking for something that is smaller in space, good for budget, you like to maximize your creativity, or you just do not want a bunch of stuff. You don't want some sort of behemoth all-in-one trainer. Potentially you're moving or you live in an apartment. I hear from a lot of those guys as well. I heard from someone the other day recently about this situation. That is where a Total Gym sliding bench trainer really shines. And that's where I really kind of fell in love with it because obviously during that period from 2020, 2023-ish period, there were not a whole lot of stuff available. And I didn't know in my head if I was really going to stick to working out at home. And what the Total Gym really did for me is it allowed me to kind of take advantage of my creativity, found some really great exercises, some of which I still think are some of the best in class, especially in the upper body, and I stand by that. And most importantly, it was an exercise and style of working out that really kept me adhering to exercise and wanted me to actually look forward to my workouts, keep coming back. And also, goes without saying, getting a whole nother separate video, you guys know this, very forgiving on your joints, very easy to kind of jump onto, fairly low intensity by nature. So all the things considered, I think that's where Total Gym shines. Flash forward to my setup right now, and I've said this many times also, Total Gym is still kind of a longer, bigger machine. I like that even with all this stuff, I can still Frankenstein stuff together, such as, you know, rigging stuff together like this, especially when you get something also versatile like this. The downside though is that once you start kind of getting things like this, it does naturally push these machines out because all the things that you could do, you can pretty much replicate on here. With an exception that I would say if I'm doing one standalone workout and I want to just really want to chain things together very quickly and rapidly, Total Gym still, or a sliding bench trainer, still wins out over these machines. So best answer I tell people is if you can get both, then I would say definitely get both. If you have a small footprint, all the things I covered before, and you check all those boxes, that is where one of these machines really comes in handy. And I do think this is one big thing too. You will not appreciate that machine. I've made a couple of videos on this too in the past. You will not appreciate a total gym or sliding bench trainer unless you have your foundation behind you of saying going to the gym, learning the ropes, learning how to be creative with even say a functional trainer. That'll really click for you, because many people jump in these machines, they watch a video and it just doesn't work for them. The machine feels weird, feels awkward. They just cannot get it to work for them. So I think a total gym in itself, if you came in as a beginner, it's going to teach you some good, valuable lessons that you then can apply to say free weights and vice versa. So hopefully this video answered some of those questions. Long overdue updated video. I apologize for the long-winded one, because this for sure is probably going to be that. Any questions, comments, feedback, stuff you want to see more in the future, either with a total gym sliding bench trainer or this stuff, let me know and I will try to deliver on that. Promo codes, everything down below in the description box. If you like this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. I will see you guys on the next one.